Hi everyone, how you doing? How you doing? I hope your day is going well. I noticed at the last stream I got my days wrong. Today is Thursday. I hope everyone is having a great Thursday, a great work day, and I also hope that your loved ones and everyone is doing well and everything is moving forward the way that you want to do this new year. Like I said, there's been new interesting things that have been coming out, that have been happening within the course of 2 days, stepping into the new year. I don't know. I'm not trying to be pessimistic. I'm still going to be hopeful to see that this year is going to be a great year for all of us, even though it's not really going the way that I would like it to go, right? And I just want to say shout out to my co-host, Sharon Bracy, being first to come and celebrate with me. I have just reached 11,000 subscribers today. So shout out to all of us who makes this possible. And I want you guys to stay tuned because we will have our own channel starting this January. And I hope that you enjoy it. But without further ado, I have 3 cases that I want to go over with you guys. They were very interesting, and I think that this would be something good to tackle this evening, okay? So the first one that I have for you, guy, is when a man starts bragging about a murder, right? And you know I like to dabble into the interrogation part of when a murderer or a suspect of a murder tend to basically tell on themselves in the interrogation process. And then I also like to dissect what actually happens in a courtroom because most people don't really know what's really going on and what position the prosecutor, the defense attorney, or the client or the suspected person for this crime is actually trying to achieve inside the courtroom. So we're going to go through this right now. Let me pull this up. Oh, and don't worry, I didn't cut my hair. I just got my hair in a high ponytail because I just didn't feel like having it on my back. But let's go. First case. Let's see. Let me share my screen. All right, here we go.
An undercover detective comes under the gun in a sting operation gone wrong.
Only on 11 Alive News, new details about sting operations underway at an East Point park.
I'm not going to lie, this story shocked me. Right now, parents say they can't even take their kids to the park because they're scared of what they might see.
And a different operation spanning months, hundreds of fugitives arrested, more than 150 guns off our streets, and several children safe. News 4's Austin Brissett has new information on how Operation Triple Beam went down.
In the realm of law enforcement, covert operations are those done in secret without the knowledge of those being observed. In a typical covert operation, an undercover law enforcement officer, detective, or a cooperative member of the public assumes the role of either a criminal partner or a potential victim. They then engage with a suspect as an attempt to gather evidence of their illegal activities. This is what is known as a sting operation, a smaller subset of covert operations. Perhaps one of the most infamous examples of a successful sting operation would be the one conducted during the investigation of Dalia Dippolito. Throughout the month of July in 2009, Dalia was actively seeking a hitman to murder her then-husband, Michael Dippolito, for a payment of $7,000. After enlisting the help of one of her ex-boyfriends to pose as a lawyer and convince Michael to sign the title of his house over to Dalia, she then moved on to asking another ex-boyfriend for help locating a hitman. Ex-boyfriend number 2 avoided giving Dalia a yes or no answer. He then took this information directly to the police. Detectives then placed an undercover police officer posing as a hitman in a car and invited Dalia to meet him in a pharmacy parking lot. Dalia promptly arrived and entered the vehicle. What you are seeing now is a short snippet of Dalia captured through a camera hidden in a small hole in the rear passenger seat.
Sure you want to kill them, dude?
Do we really have to?
All right.
You know, it's just, I'd rather be as less, whatever with you.
All right. We're just going to be asking you questions, although they know it's going to be obvious what it is, and they already know, you know what I mean? But, they're going to ask questions, because that's how they got to do it,
Right.
okay? Because I don't know how well you handle pressure. then I don't know, because I don't want.
No, I'm not gonna, I'm a lot tougher than what I look. I know you see me and you're like, oh, what a cute little girl, whatever. But I'm not.
That
I'm not.
you are. You're extremely beautiful.
Thank you, but I just need to make sure everything's gonna take care of.
All right. You're not going to have an option to change your mind. Even if you change your mind, I'm talking to him.
There's no changing. No, there's no, I'm determined already. I'm positive, 5,000% sure,
Okay.
This footage was recorded on July 30th. 10 days later, on August 9th, the decided date of the hit, the police went to the house of Mike Dippolito and explained the current circumstances. Mike cooperated with the police to pretend that the hit was carried out, and the police called Dalia to the crime scene.
Listen, we had a report of a disturbance at your house, and there were shots fired. Is your husband Michael? Okay, I'm sorry to tell you, ma'am, he's been killed. He's been killed, man. I'm sorry.
No, he's not.
Listen. Listen, right now we need to get you to the station. We need to get you to our police station. I can't let you stay, man. We have to do our job. We need you to calm down.
So it's sometimes it's very disturbing to see or to realize that this person wants to unalive someone. And it'd be someone that'd be really close to them, right? Their wife, their husband, their mom, their brother, their best friend. It'll be somebody real close to them. And the way how they are so performative and they start putting out the waterworks, they have it down packed. They know exactly what people are expecting them to act or sound like when they hear horrible news that a loved one has lost his life, right? They know that they have to start shivering, they have to start shaking, they have to start screaming, they have to start crying, and they're so performative. Like the way that she was acting, if we didn't know in the beginning that she actually wanted to take a hit out on her husband and she really was 100% sure of doing that, you would really think that what she's doing is authentic. You would really believe that she's authentic. If we didn't have any of that video, that short video of her in the car, we would think that she's really startled and in distraught of hearing about her husband being unalive. It's really sad, really. It's really sad how people can perform the way that they could right on the spot. And it does tell you a lot about a person's psyche or the psyches of said individuals. It could be anyone. But let's go on.
I'm gonna need you to go with these detectives, okay? If you want to help your husband, okay? If you want to help your husband, you need to go to the station with these gentlemen and tell us everything you know about who he knows, who he's connected to.
After being escorted back to the police department, officers withstood more of Dalia's bad acting in the interrogation room, and it was eventually revealed that this was in fact a sting operation.
The game's over with, okay? There's no more games with you and I. Now we're going to get down to serious business. I want to know if you know this guy. Come here. Bring this guy in here. Get over here. Get over here. You know who this guy is?
No.
You've never seen him before?
I've never seen him before. Ever.
Do you know her?
Put your head up and look at her.
Put your head up.
I've never seen him.
What were you doing coming out of her house? Get him out of here. You're going to jail today for solicitation of murder. You're under arrest. That's an undercover police officer. We filmed everything that you did, recorded everything that you did. You're going to jail for solicitation of first-degree murder of your husband.
I didn't do anything.
Did you hear
Hey,
what I just told you?
Joshua. Thank you for stopping
Everything,
by.
listen to me.
Hope everything's well.
Everything has been recorded. You were photographed in the convertible when you sat in his car in the front of CVS. What do you want to do? What do you want to do here?
I didn't
Dalia?
do anything.
Listen to me.
I didn't do anything.
You're going to jail.
I didn't do anything, please. I didn't do anything.
After an additional 8 hours of questioning, Dalia stuck to her claims of innocence and was formally charged with solicitation to commit first-degree murder. Dalia would go on to manufacture several false narratives to explain the situation that she found herself in. The first narrative that she devised was recorded during the first phone call that she was granted after her arrest. Strangely, instead of choosing to use this valuable phone call as an opportunity to consult an attorney. She decided to call the man that she was trying to murder, her husband, Michael Dippolito.
Honestly, I can't help you.
Wait. Can you say full-blown narcissist? How in the world are you going to call the husband that you plan to put a hit on and for him to lose his life? How can you now turn around and call him and ask him to help you get out of going to jail by committing the murder on him? That is full-blown narcissist if I ever seen it. Like, the nerve of you, lady, the audacity of you, lady. You tried to get this man killed, and you think that he's supposed to turn around and help you get out of jail for trying to commit murder on him? Like, some narcissists don't have no low, right? They have no bounds of how low they will go. Like, you really think that it's his job to get you out of jail when you try to unalive him? You try to put a hit on him, and you will call, instead of you calling the attorney and trying to have the attorney speak with you like, hey, technically it didn't go through, so nobody lost their life, right? Second thing they could say is try to knock it down to it'll still be a felony, but try to knock it down as much as possible where you only serve like maybe like 20 months or 25 months in prison, for trying to contract to commit a murder, right? That's what you were supposed to be doing with your attorney, is trying to figure out how y'all are going to lead into this when it's time to go to trial. No, instead you call the husband that you tried to unalive to think that he's supposed to stand on the stand for you and say, please don't lock my wife up, let her go. I know she tried to kill me. I know she put a hitman on me. I know she didn't know it was an undercover cop, but please let my wife go so we can be together. Girl, let's go on. That just annoyed the living daylights out of me real quick.
Don't you understand what just happened?
What they're saying is not true.
How is that possible?
Like, I'm sitting here. It's not true. It's not possible. You wouldn't even give me 2 minutes to talk to you, but it's not possible. What they're saying is not true.
How in the hell did I hear it and see it?
Like, I heard what you heard. It's not true. I heard what you heard and I saw what you saw. Everything they showed you, they showed me.
And how is it not? How are you telling me that?
I am giving you my word that it's not true.
Before trial, Dalia would state that the audio and video recorded during the sting was actually created using CGI and special effects. When the trial began, she would change her story again, stating that the entire murder-for-hire plot was actually a scheme devised as a way to get Mike on reality TV. After being found guilty at her...
Wait. You mean to tell me that she said that the police created a CGI video of her in the car planning and confirming not once, not twice, but 3 times that she wanted to go through with the hit plan? That is her case at trial? And then she tried to say that this was all a ploy to get him on a reality TV show. That's what she going with? You know what? I think that, even to me, that seems very foolish, but that was a good route to go, right? Because we see that a lot of people do whatever they need to do to be on TV. We see that a lot of people do whatever they need to do to get their 15 minutes of fame. It's not that far-fetched from the type of society that we have and what people will do to go viral is not that far-fetched. That people would pretend and stunt to a murder or something like that, so they can get on a reality TV show or try to make a book about it or something like that. It's not that far-fetched. I'm just saying. Oh, let's see. Lucien Lanco. He said, "Hi, I'm a gypsy from Spain." Well, welcome, sir. Good to see you. Good to see you. All right, let's go on.
Her initial trial, Dalia's conviction was quickly overturned and a retrial was granted.
On the record at this time, I'm now declaring this case mistried by virtue of the fact that the jury cannot reach a unanimous verdict.
Curiously, Dalia's second trial ended in a hung jury and forced the state to try her for a third time. The result of the third trial was a repeat of the first. The jury returned a verdict in just under 90 minutes, and she was found guilty again and sentenced to 16 years behind bars.
3 trials later, a conviction today. The Boynton Beach woman immediately fingerprinted and handcuffed.
State prosecutors Laura Laurie and Craig Williams hugged out their victory in the courtroom. A statement from the state attorney's office said, "We are pleased that the hard work and perseverance of our prosecutors and staff have led to justice for this victim."
This is just one example of just how effective sting operations can be in not only preventing heinous crimes from occurring, but catching the perpetrator before they can even commit the crime. However, not all sting operations play out so smoothly. In fact, undercover agents are often putting their lives at risk by having close encounters with dangerous criminals. For example, this sting operation in 2017 went south after the criminals the agents were meeting with tried to rob them.
Police say the men in that parking lot were armed and ready to rip off the 2 men they were meeting with to sell guns, unaware that those 2 men were undercover Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms agents. A security camera records one of the suspects darting from the scene Friday.
And then it shows him running in between the A-line
and into the traffic on Pacific Highway South in Kent.
I was like, oh my gosh, he got hit by a car. I didn't know he actually got hit. And then we had footage of it.
Jasmine Shenowick
got hit by a car.
Showed us the video from security cameras at Midway Tropical Fish and Pets where she works. Kent police say they were working with undercover federal agents in a sting to buy firearms from a 19-year-old man and his partner.
The suspects attempted to rob our undercover officers. A shootout ensued.
In the gunfire, law officers' bullets took one suspect out with life-threatening wounds, and that black car took the second one down with less serious injuries.
It is clear that sting operations come with a set of risks that in some cases can be fatal. These risks are often too hard to predict, as the investigators do not all.
Yeah, that's something that a lot of people don't understand about sting operations, right? You have undercover cops. You can also have civilians who have agreed to go undercover or to tape things for them, get audio or visual about a crime about to be committed, because the FBI or the ATF agents was already tracking these guys, and they just needed this moment of opportunity to actually see them doing the transaction so they could actually book them for the crimes that they want to book them for. But it's all dangerous nonetheless, right? Because a lot of undercover cops lose their lives, right? As well as citizens who participate in a sting operation. And then here's the other side of it, right? The sting operation can go south, where undercover cops turn actually rogue. They go rogue, they get comfortable and used to the character of portraying another criminal out here doing drugs or out here moving drugs or moving weapons and stuff like that. And they take advantage of it because they're still law enforcement, right? They still have access to other weapons. They have access to things that's in the police department. They still have connections with their other fellow police officers, even some who's a part of the judicial court or the prosecutors. And they will use those networking relationships to actually become the kingpin in criminal activities. They actually tend to go on to be one of the top leaders of these crime organizations. So it's really, really hard. It's really, really hard when it comes down to a sting operation. It can go anyway. Let's see. Hi, Ignite TV. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you. Hi, Dakota. Thank you for stopping by. This is my first time seeing you. Appreciate you for stopping by. Thank you. No, actually, I'm not. But there are a few. Not everyone. But let's go on.
Always know how far their targets are willing to go. There is another type of covert operation with its own specific set of risks. That operation is called Mr. Big. In Mr. Big operations, it is often very clear what these criminals are capable of.
But I gotta know, I gotta be able to cover this off. So tell me what you can remember.
I remember picking a broad up one time. Having sex. Then I just lost it for some reason. Oh, I think I strangled it, I'm not sure.
This one here, either of us is like, he's like 11 or 12 years old here.
That could be.
And again, I don't care. But if I'm going to do it,
I know she was.
she's native, I got to know everything that happened there.
Obviously, I must have sex.
In this case, the man confessing to murder is 71-year-old Gary Handlin, and the man that he is confessing to is a strategically placed undercover agent posing as a local organized crime boss.
So before we go on, I just want you to know this is a whole different case. The last case that we saw, the woman got 16 years. And you know what's good about that? She got less than what I actually thought that she was going to get, really. But I knew that she was going to get some time because of the simple fact they actually caught her on video, audio as well, that she was planning to kill her husband. They put in someone in there to pretend that they was going to go through it with her. An ex-boyfriend agreed to do it, but he went to the police and notified them of this plan. So there's too much evidence behind her, but she's lucky that she only got 16 years. I was really thinking that she was going to get 20, but here we go. So this new one is a older man is speaking to an undercover cop, and he's pretty much going in detail talking about a murder that he did many, many years ago. And he's kind of like bragging about it because he lived up to 71 years old, pretty much a whole life, really. And I guess he didn't get charged, or he sort of got away with it. And I think he's going on the basis of statutory limits, depending on what state they are, that he doesn't think he can get charged for this case. But let's go on a little bit with the new one. Also, hi Zero, how you doing? It's good to see you. Good to see you, corner boy. Appreciate you. And everybody just coming in, please just hit the like button for me. I greatly appreciate it. It definitely does help the channel and keeps us in the algorithm, okay? Let's go on.
Going into this operation, agents already possessed enough evidence to believe that Gary was capable of murder. This confession was the last piece that they needed in order to convict him. Following this video, Gary was formally arrested and charged with the murder of Monica Jack, 36 years after her abduction. He was convicted in early 2019. As alluded to using the prior examples, the main difference between Mr. Big and a sting is that sting operations are designed to catch a person attempting to commit a crime, while Mr. Big is another type of covert procedure designed to elicit confessions from suspects who have already committed a crime. For the remainder of this video, we will be taking an in-depth look at the murder.
So now we all know what's the difference, right? So pretty much a Mr. Big is pretty much unsolved cases or cold cases and people who was up as suspects for that crime, but they was found not guilty for that particular crime. They're still investigating all new clues or all new things that's in discovery. And now they're getting a confirmation of what actually happened and who was actually the person who committed that crime versus a sting. A sting is supposed to be something, you're supposed to prevent an actual crime from occurring. That's what a sting is. So we have one that is reactive and the other part is proactive. So let's go on.
Murder of Jack Beauchamp, the investigation that followed, and the Mr. Big operation that uncovered his killer. On a Monday morning in January of 2006, in the city of Calgary, Alberta, a business executive with Moorebank Financial made her way to the 12th floor of the high-rise building where her company resided. The doors were unlocked, and upon entry, she found her co-worker, Jack Beauchamp, bleeding out on the ground, unresponsive. After calling 911 at 7:58 a.m., EMS was dispatched. While still on the phone and waiting for them to arrive, the operator guided her to perform CPR. In the process, it became apparent that Jack's injuries were a result of gunshot wounds to the chest. When paramedics arrived at 8:02 a.m., it was too late. Jack had succumbed to his injuries. They noted that Jack's coffee was still steaming, indicating that this was a very recent shooting. His coworker, who was still by his side, said that she had not seen anybody leave the area, meaning that there was a possibility that the shooter was still in the vicinity.
We discovered a male deceased of apparent gunshot wounds. This incident is being investigated at this point in time. The homicide unit of the Calgary Police Service has been notified.
With downtown workers potentially still in danger, the pressure was on to collect evidence and find the shooter as swiftly as possible. When police spoke to other Moorebank Financial employees to gather more information, they found out that the company was a commercial mortgage lending company, and Jack Beauchamp was the president. The forensic crime scene unit arrived and began to process the scene, including the office where Jack was murdered and a parking garage where his SUV was parked. They determined that Jack was shot at close range with 6 .22 caliber bullets. According to the Moorebank workers, nobody witnessed the shooting, but they were able to provide a possible motive. Apparently, clients would frequently become upset about not receiving the loan that they were hoping for. In fact, there was one client in particular that Jack had been in the midst of dealing with. His name was Bob Deere. In fall of 2005, Bob made a deal with Moorebank Financial for a mortgage loan and agreed to pay the commitment fee of $18,000. When the deal fell through, Bob refused to pay the owed commitment fee, and this immediately became a point of discourse. While the commitment fee was merely a part of company policy, email exchanges on Jack's computer made it clear that Bob personally blamed Jack. The conflict continued to escalate, and on December 14th, 2005, Jack made a phone call to 911.
Calgary Police Officer Fontaine.
Yes, good morning. My name is Jack Beauchamp. I'm calling from a company called Moorebank Financial. Quite honestly, I'm not sure if this warrants police intervention or not. I've received some emails from a client that I've discussed with my lawyer, and it seems like they have crossed the line into the threatening side of things.
What have they said that is threatening, please?
Well, comments like, if you live like a gangster, you should expect to die like a gangster. And I guess, by way of explanation, I'm the president of Moorebank Financial Inc. We're a commercial mortgage lending company. And that, I think they kind of crossed the line, but...
No, they haven't done anything criminal at this point?
There's been no actions taken.
Not that, sir. The threat itself is not criminal. It's not specific.
Okay.
If they were to say, I'm going to damage your property, or I'm going to hurt you or your family or someone you know, then at that point they are committing an offense by uttering a threat. But by saying, if you live like a gangster, you're going to die like a gangster.
Well, that's just one comment. It says, do you realize that someone could hurt you or your business for operating with such unethical, low-life standards?
Still insufficient, sir. They'd have to say, I'm going to do this to you. That's a threat.
So a veiled threat's not a threat, then?
It's not enough to lay charges.
Okay.
I would suggest at this point that you keep everything that you have.
I've done that, yes.
And that if at any point they say something direct, then at that point you've got sufficient evidence to lay charges against them.
Okay. So it doesn't warrant anyone speaking to them and just...
Well, we wouldn't do that anyways. We cannot warn someone to change their behavior.
Okay. Okay, no, well, fair enough. That clears it up for me on that side of things. Hopefully nothing comes of this.
Hopefully not, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Have a good day now.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye.
It's so funny. It's not funny. That phone call really, really hurts me, right? Because I think that that's something that needs to actually be changed, right? I think that anything that can be perceived as a threat should be taken seriously, not just waiting for an exact statement of saying, I'm going to harm you, right? Especially when we know a lot of people use code, a lot of people use slang, a lot of people have their own culture slang of what things might mean, community slang for what things might mean, and we have to put that all into consideration, right? Because now just think about it, he calls you guys prior to him getting killed, and he lets you know that a client is sending him obscene type of emails consistently. So he's showing you aggravated harassment by him sending all those emails. And then he's saying things like, if you live like a gangster, you're gonna die like one. That to me is the attempt is still an attempt of a threat. But for you not to do anything about it, or even just to raise concern, that could have had saved this man's life, right? That could have saved this man's life. But now what happens? Now his life is gone, and now you're going to have to do reactive investigating and trying to solve a crime when you could have been proactive and saved a man's life. That's something that we really need to work on, right? There, it has to be more sentences and statements that is going to be considered actual real threats and be taken seriously, just like how you will take it seriously if that was said by any other politician, anybody who's in a high leadership or profile position. You wouldn't play around if somebody threatened them or say, oh, you better watch your back. I might slap you or whatever, not da da da. You wouldn't take that lightly. So I think we need to start changing a few of those statements, or adding more to the list of what is considered actual threatening messages or a threatening response. We can agree to disagree if you don't believe that, but that's what I believe. That's what I believe. Hey, Miss Jalen, how you doing? How you doing? Zero says, that comment is not even a veiled threat. It's a direct one. The police didn't want to be bothered by it. You know what? I could agree. Yeah, definitely. And just make sure when you're coming in, just keep the lights coming in. Thank you. I appreciate you. Let's go on.
The next day, on December 15th, 2005, Bob sent another email to Jack stating, I apologize for wording my letter to you in such a way that it scared you, or seemed to threaten you in any way. I mean no harm to you personally, as I don't even know you. Simply, I was expressing my disgust in your company's unethical business practices. He then ended the email by saying, we can both walk away from this without getting hurt, but it's up to you, Bob dear. Later that day, Jack responded saying, the difference between us is that you are a low-life coward. He went on to state, go ahead and challenge our agreements in front of the court if you disagree. Stop with the threatening rhetoric and veiled threats. First off, I'm not the least bit intimidated or afraid of you. Second, you are not smart enough to pull off a war of words. Third, you are embarrassing yourself in front of my lawyer, your old partners, the mortgage broker, my staff, and now the police. Maybe it's time you grew up, you moron. Jack Beauchamp. Nevertheless, the arguments continued through email and Bob's name began to spread around Moorbank's office. One employee even showed detectives a note that Jack had given her. It said, Bob dear, manic depressive, whack job, and included his phone number. Police naturally set their sights on Bob as a suspect. They met him at his house as he pulled into the driveway just hours following Jack's death and promptly arrested him. They detained Bob at the police station for 24 hours, but were forced to release him. They didn't yet have enough evidence to charge him for murder, but he didn't walk away scot-free. He was charged with criminal harassment due to his emails for the time being. The detectives moved on with their investigation by looking through surveillance videos recorded by cameras around the building. Here you can see Jack beginning his day, briefcase and coffee in hand, entering the office building. At 7:49 a.m., he is seen entering the elevator. This was the last time that Jack was seen on camera. After examining the CCTV footage thoroughly, Police confidently determined that Bob had not been in the building at the time of Jack's murder. So if not Bob, then who? Continuing to review the footage, there was one individual who stuck out like a sore thumb. This person was wearing sunglasses while it was dark out, and from what the CCTV had captured, it seemed as if he didn't take off his gloves the entire time that he was in the building.
The homicide unit has viewed hours of video from the business at 635 8th Avenue Southwest.
Yeah, that looked like he basically stuck out as a sore thumb, really, because if it's dark outside, why are you wearing sunglasses? And why you didn't take off your gloves? You coming in there with black gloves, sunglasses on. You didn't even take it off in a warm building. And then I don't know if they seen what floor he got off of. Hopefully they explained to us that, but that would make me alarmed too. Like, were you wearing sunglasses in the middle of the night? Why are you doing that?
And as a result of that, we have identified one person of particular interest, a male, dark hair, a beard, approximately 5'6" to 5'8", weighing about 175 pounds, wearing blue jeans and a dark jacket.
Police were able to confirm the identity of this man from an unrelated traffic stop in September of 2005. The driver was arrested during his traffic stop and was asked whether he preferred his vehicle to be towed or handed over to one of his passengers to take care of it. He chose the latter option, and that trusted passenger was a man named Mohammed Ali Karim. Mohammed had told the officers that he worked for a landscaping company. Investigators decided to look into that landscaping company and discovered that it was owned by none other than Bob Deere. Police were then able to obtain a search warrant for Bob's home and vehicle. In his house, they found a sink full of what seemed to be facial hair, along with an unopened package of razors beside it. Other pieces of evidence included a gun safe with .22 caliber ammunition inside of it, but no gun, as well as 2 receipts. One from Walmart and one from London Drugs, both from January 15th, the day before Jack's murder. On the Walmart receipt, they found a list of items, including a leather handbag, sunglasses, and gloves. They also found a Greyhound bus pass from Edmonton to Calgary that had the name MLE printed on it, dated for January 15th as well. Investigators now had 3 locations where Bob Deere had been the day before Jack's murder: the Greyhound bus terminal, Walmart, and London Drugs. So they decided to check the surveillance footage for each one. When reviewing the Greyhound bus terminal footage, they spotted Bob Deere arriving and then leaving the building with Mohammed, sporting the same black jacket and beard. The next day, on January 16th at 10:13 a.m., he can be seen returning to the Greyhound bus terminal, but this time he no longer has facial hair. This would explain the shavings found in Bob's sink. The investigators moved on to the Walmart, where Bob and Mohammed can be seen walking together and buying their list of items. Then on to London Drugs, where the men can be seen buying rubbing alcohol and latex gloves. The surveillance footage presented a clear timeline of events to the detectives. On January 15th, Mohammed arrives in Calgary from Edmonton using the Greyhound bus and meets with Bob Deere. The 2 men make several stops in preparation for Jack's murder. The next morning, Bob drops off Mohammed at Jack's building. Mohammed kills Jack and then flees the scene. Back at Bob's house, Mohammed alters his appearance before being dropped back off at the Greyhound bus to return to his Edmonton home. With all of this evidence stacked up against Mohammed, police were able to obtain a search warrant for his house in Edmonton, where they found clothes that seemed to match the ones that he was allegedly wearing in Jack's building. Unfortunately, all of this evidence was still circumstantial, so months went by without charges being laid against Bob or Mohammed. Mohammed even moved out to Vancouver during this time. However, he had
Yeah, I agree. Even though it does make sense, right? It's not a far-fetched situation, especially for the simple fact that it seems that this guy was in the deceased working office, and he just so happens to be employed by the guy who was sending criminal harassment emails to the victim. So that was the tie-in right there. So now when they're getting all the time frame and stuff together, it's still really, they really can't pinpoint it to this man yet. So they have to find a transaction, a real transaction that lets them know, hey, Bob paid this guy to unalive this guy for him, right? He paid his employee to do this, because just them hanging out together, him shaving his face, or changing his beard or whatever, not that's not really that much evidence. We do know that yes, people will change their appearance, especially when they commit a crime, and now they don't want to be they don't want to be posted up on the news and everybody see that they look like exactly like that. So they'll do little things to try to change themselves so they can blend in a little bit more with the community or the society. But let's see what else was going to happen. I want to see how they're actually going to make it stick, because I see right now there's motive and there's definitely intent. So I want them to really pinpoint and hold down where's the opportunity at.
He had not escaped Calgary law enforcement's radar. They devised a Mr. Big operation in the hopes of getting a confession from Mohammed. Undercover investigators spent several weeks in Vancouver gaining his trust, pretending to be a part of an underground criminal organization that was looking for a new recruit. Eventually, Mohammed scored a meeting with Mr. Big, the boss of this fictional organization. Part of his initiation was to describe in detail other organized crimes that he's been a part of.
So I got in there, the door was open, I called it, I said, Jack Beauchamp. Then he came like this. How can I help you, sir? Good morning. I looked pretty scary, man, with the gloves and the glasses, I'm like, hey, good morning, sir. My name is Mike. A buddy of mine sent me here to talk business with you. He's like, well, who's your friend? I said, it's a French guy called Denis. And he's like, Denis. Like, it doesn't matter, but anyways, I would like to talk to you about some money lending for a real estate project and stuff. So he goes, okay, but like, do you have an appointment? Have you called me before? Like, yeah, I called actually before, and I left a message with one of your employees here. I don't know if they did the message. He's like, I don't know. I'm like, okay, can we see each other? I was planning to go with him in the office, and then once he turns his back, I just gonna take him up. But he said, no, you need an appointment, sir. I'm sorry, I'm really kind of busy. I managed to get him back to the office by asking him for a business card. So I went back to the office. That's when I pulled out the gun, called him. And when he saw me coming, he kind of ran towards me. That's the mistake I did. I didn't want to kill him. I did not want to kill him. So I'm here.
It never fails. Sometimes I think that these criminals, they really do have an ego problem, right? They really do have an ego problem that they want to let everybody know, or who they think they're comfortable enough to share. This is how I did it. This is what I did. I'm going to let you know the time I did it. I'm going to let you know what I did to this person. I'm going to let you know how I got away. They just give up too much information. And I just don't understand why. Like, if you really want to commit a crime and get away with it, you're going to have to be, number one, very, very clean, right? Very, very clean. You can't be messy. You can't be leaving here, traces here, and all that stuff like that. But the next thing that should definitely be on the list is keep your damn mouth closed. This is something that you have to take to the grave. I just don't understand. But I'm glad we have foolish people. And I like the fact that we have people who lead with their ego and stuff like that, because some of these cases would not be solved if these people didn't do things like that. Let's go on.
Yeah, I'm here. He went that way. I just take it off the safe, man. Came out. Look at him. He came at me. I went like this. The moment he saw the gun, he was shot.
A few days after this confession, both Bob and Mohammed were arrested for first-degree murder. They were transported together, and a conversation between the two was recorded.
Listen, I got set up by some undercovers, brother. Really? They're telling me you're ratting me up. Oh. And I told them that's crap. That's crap. That all the information they got is crap. They got that video clear. It was an undercover man. These undercovers got me. If they are the undercovers or if it's a trick from the police, I'm not sure here. Okay? Mm-hmm. We made one big circle just so that they could listen to us, and now we're right back where we started. Oh, I know, man. I don't care. I don't care. I mean, I'm trying to help you, and you're trying to help me because we're friends, you know? We're in the same boat for nothing. So, of course, we're going to help each other, man. It's us against them, right? Well, I'm just saying nothing.
A property on this street is at the center of this case. The prosecution says Robert Deere had borrowed more than $1 million from Jack Beauchamp to build a duplex here. But the big problem started when that duplex deal fell apart and Deere still owed Beauchamp money.
Their trial began in September of 2007. The prosecution presented their case, saying that in a fit of rage over the $18,000 commitment fee, Bob Deere hired Mohammed Karim as a hitman to kill Jack Beauchamp. They laid out all of the evidence for the jury, including the timeline of events using CCTV footage, the email exchanges between Bob and Jack, the forensic evidence from the crime scene and Bob's house, and Mohammed's full confession. The defense tried to counter this by simply saying it was an accident, that Mohammed never intended to shoot Jack, and there was never a plan to kill him in the first place. Apparently, Mohammed only meant to
Oh my goodness. Whoever was his defense attorney, they really didn't want that job. They didn't want that job and they didn't really want to win. How are you going to say it's a mistake? The man had no reason to be in that man's place of business. He wasn't in there to get a loan. And how do you make a mistake shooting somebody? Why did you have a weapon? Why did you come in the building with a weapon? Like, how you gonna say it's a mistake? Y'all really went by the trope if he made a mistake. What you was gonna do? You was gonna scare him? That's still criminal harassment. That's still coercement. That's still a crime. You pulling a weapon out on somebody trying to force them to do something that you want them to do. That's a crime regardless. How is that a mistake? I can't believe they went with that. I can't believe they went with that. Let's go on. I can't believe they went with that. That is insane. They did not care about winning this case. Absolutely not.
Intimidate Jack, as Bob had specifically instructed him not to use violence. After 4 days of deliberation, the jury had reached a verdict. Robert Deere and Mohammed Karim were found guilty of the first-degree murder of Jack Beauchamp.
I think that the jury was very conscientious and diligent. They clearly considered all of the evidence very carefully. They clearly put a lot of work into it and came up with a just verdict.
We're just thrilled with the verdict, but there are clearly no winners in this situation. So many lives have been changed forever by the actions of these two men. Jack was a wonderful husband and father. The outcome of this trial changes nothing for our family. My husband is gone. My children's father is gone. We miss him every day in our lives, and we cherish the memories we have, but we must try to move forward.
Following this conviction, Bob's defense team argued in the Court of Appeal that the trial judge's instructions to the jury were flawed because she didn't tell the jurors that they had to find Deere paid Karim specifically to murder Beauchamp. So, their conviction was overturned, and the case demanded a retrial.
A new trial began today for two men accused of killing a Calgary businessman.
Remember what I told y'all about retrials, right? Retrials can either go good for the defense attorney and their client, or they can use the prosecutors can use a retrial that will help them give them more time to get criminal evidence so they can get whatever client that they want to get the guilty verdict, right? So in this case, the defense attorney, they knew they dropped the ball. They found out that some instructions that was supposed to be said to the jury was not said, and they were able to get a retrial. That is very good for their client, right? Because that tends to make the prosecutors, they have to go back to the drawing board. They have to add in new things into discovery. They have to find a new way how they're going to present their case to the judge and the jury. And it takes time. All that takes time. And mind you, the more time that you have, things get lost in translation, items start getting missed, people start getting missed, witnesses no longer want to participate in the being a witness, a lot of things can change and you can get a different verdict because of a retrial. So just keep that in mind. Let's go.
It's the second trial for the duo charged with first-degree murder in the killing of Jack Beauchamp. Nancy Hicks is at the Calgary Court Centre with the latest. Nancy.
The trial began today with graphic video of the crime scene. Beauchamp lying in a pool of his own blood in his downtown Calgary office.
The retrial resulted in the amendment of both Bob and Mohammed's charges. Mohammed was found guilty of second-degree murder, while Bob was found guilty of manslaughter. This is due to the fact that the judge was not satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt that Bob and Mohammed had planned Jack's murder in advance, or that Bob was aware of Mohammed's plan to use violence. Following their convictions, Mohammed challenged the courts again, which resulted in a delay to their sentencing.
A Calgary murderer's sentence is delayed today because he alleges sheriffs abused him. Mohammed Karim was convicted of second-degree murder 1 month ago in the 2006 death of businessman Jack Beauchamp.
Lawyers for Mohammed Karim are still waiting to get access to all of the video surveillance footage from both the Calgary Remand Center and the courthouse. Karim says that surveillance footage will prove he was abused by sheriffs verbally, physically, and sexually. In a telephone interview from jail, Karim says much of the abuse is religiously and racially motivated.
When someone calls me, like I was called thousands of times by officers, I don't let go. Instead, what I do is complain, and that irritates in me, the officers. Retaliation for complaining. I was taken down and just beat up so bad.
A spokesperson from the Solicitor General's office would only say that any time they become aware of potential criminal activity, police are called. Kathari says depending on what they find on the video, sentencing submissions could be affected. And Nirmala, a new date for sentencing will be set once lawyers have a chance to pore over all of those videos.
Mohammed Karim was ultimately sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for 18 years. Robert Deere was sentenced to 16 years in prison. However, he had 2-for-1 credit on time already served. Sometimes judges grant offenders credit for the time spent in jail prior to sentencing, which is commonly referred to as pre-sentence custody, pre-trial custody, or dead time. If the judge does give this credit for pre-sentence custody, they might choose to offer enhanced credit, or 2-for-1 credit, wherein for each day an offender spent in pre-sentence custody, the judge reduces the jail time by 2 days. Therefore, Bob was set to be released in just 4 years. In August of 2015, he was released on statutory grounds after serving 2/3 of his sentence.
So that Muhammad guy, he was it seemed like he knew somewhat what the law was about. He knew that he needed to come out and let it be known about his treatment. He made it seem like it was this discrimination treatment due to his ethnicity and also his religion, which gave him more time. However, I don't think it worked out for him this time because he had manslaughter and now he got life in prison. I knew that the actual guy Bob, he wasn't going to get that many years because he didn't actually unalive the victim. He didn't actually unalive him, and I know his lawyers was going to talk down that he really didn't, and the judge wasn't really too sure because nothing really still haven't been confirmed that he actually instructed Muhammad to unalive the victim. He probably could have just told Muhammad, go there and scare him a little bit. He was already sending him criminal harassment emails a month prior, right? So he could, that leads for the judge to really just think about that. Maybe Muhammad took it in his own interest to unalive this man and he wasn't actually instructed by this guy. But that was a very interesting case. Very, very interesting case. And I feel sorry for that man, like, because especially hearing the phone call that he had with the 911 operator, explaining to them and letting him know that he's been having continuous emails of this man, this guy threatening him, and the operator telling him, well, no, what this guy actually said is not considered a threat unless he specifically says that I am going to kill you or I am going to unalive you. They didn't take any of that seriously, and just think if they did, he might still be alive today. That's really hard. That's a really hard pill to swallow. So prayers to his family. Really, that's truly bad. All right. So the next one I have is, I think, a father. A father might have helped to unalive his son and not realize it. And he finds out that he was also a part of why his son is no longer here. So I want to review this with you guys. Make sure you're hitting the like button as you come in. Like I said, it really does help the channel, and I truly appreciate it. Let's go on.
Hello, I need someone to tell me what's going on.
Help me, help me, help me!
Late in the night on June 5, 2021, officers from the Woodbury and Oakdale Police Department in Minnesota receive a slew of 911 calls about a drive-by shooting that took place in a residential neighborhood at a high school graduation party. Dispatch begins notifying officers of a white Tahoe that is potentially involved. Multiple officers patrol the area, while others secure the scene of the shooting and gather information.
Stay in your house. Hey, what house is this, guys? All right, hands. Show me hands. Show me hands. Don't move. Right here, this house. Okay, nobody move. Someone shot?
Yeah.
Where?
I don't know.
Walk to me. Walk to me.
We didn't shoot.
Walk to me.
Okay.
Just follow our orders and we'll figure this out.
While this is going on, officers discover the white Tahoe speeding by.
Again, Woodbury spots either white Tahoe or white Escalade driving fast by 611.
Get out here. My house is full of people.
719, I need a lot of cars to the house.
A lot of cars out.
576, I got a white SUV, northbound Century, high rate of speed, passing up Rafton.
Everybody out, let's go.
There's a baby.
Okay, well, we need you out here.
I need everybody to come out of my house. Everybody.
After the officer clears the house, he continues to inspect the rest of the scene. Soon, officers will question them further on what happened. Right now, the main priority for officers involves capturing the suspect and ending the pursuit.
7131, I'm coming down 94, I'm almost to Century.
Almost at 94. Westbound 94 from Century.
7131, I'll be behind him shortly.
7131, I'll be behind 76.
Still high rate of speed, passing vehicles around the frontage road.
Passing vehicles on the frontage road.
Committed westbound 94.
Committed westbound 94.
Still westbound under Ruth.
Westbound under Ruth.
Still westbound, approaching 61, speed 120.
Approaching 61, speed 120.
Over Johnson Parkway by St. Paul and Ramsey County.
Over Johnson Parkway, we're advising on LTAC 1.
7131, I'm left on Paul calling. Approaching 52.
Copy, approaching 52.
10-4. Need a Victoria westbound.
6 westbound at Victoria.
We're coming up to 35 east.
Approaching 35 east.
Sometimes I know sometimes people do make it away. They get away, but
driving conduct, the vehicle's driving over 4 lanes of
harder
traffic.
now. I don't even know why they even try to do
making erratic turns.
It's harder to get away now because the partners speaks with each other. So even if you do get to a different state, they're waiting for your ass because they already been notified by the local police
that car to the front.
that someone is heading directly into your state, and maybe you want your state troopers to, look at the vehicle. I really don't understand why they even continue to do that. It only makes sense if you're trying to get close enough to get to Mexico. But if you're like in Midwest or you're only up north, I really don't know what to do.
Show me your hands! Keep your hands up now! Don't move! I'm gonna terminate where do not move! Shot in the back. There's someone shot. Don't move, I'll get you somebody. We got someone shot in the back. 7131. We have somebody shot in the back seat here. You start me right from St. Paul.
Someone shot in the back seat.
We're not gonna shoot. You keep your fucking hands up. I have an ambulance coming. Do you understand me? Yes, we will. Okay? I want you to get out of the car. You.
Get on the ground! Get down!
Get over here on the ground now!
On the ground now!
Driver, you crawl over to me. Yep, you crawl over and you get on that ground now. Get on the grass. Right there. On the grass. Go to the grass. Go.
Get down!
Going out crossfire.
Down, please, my brother shot in the back. Please help, please help, please help. Please help.
I'll clasp your hands.
Where's he shot at?
I got a shot. Get hit. Back.
He's unconscious.
All right. 14 years old. Please get him.
You got his legs?
Officers out with individuals.
Is he breathing? I can't tell. I don't think so. Actually, we'll go your way. Yeah, he's got one in the back or two. Get him to the hospital. Yep. Stay him over there. Somebody grab his arm. Yep. I got gloves on already, man.
Sit up on the curb. Sit up. Scoot back on the curb. Sit on the curb. You're good there. Hang tight for me, okay?
I gotta just carry him, guys.
Where was they going, though?
Is there a Xavier here?
No.
Do you guys know Xavier?
Okay.
This officer inquires about a known individual attendee of the graduation party, Xavier. Back at the crime scene, witnesses noted known attendee Xavier and two of his friends got into a physical altercation with another attendee, Davion, before the shootout occurred. After Davion and his group of friends left, witnesses shared that Xavier and others fired their own guns at the vehicle involved in this chase. Xavier and his group of friends apparently took off immediately after the shooting. Nobody seemed to know where they were, nor would they find them that night. Shortly after this, 911 operators would get a call regarding a possible domestic situation they initially thought was unrelated to this case. However, they would soon learn that the call came due to the shooting victim's mother, Tricia, crying out in remorse over her 14-year-old son being shot. While officers are on scene at her home, Tricia's other son, 16-year-old Davian, his girlfriend, 19-year-old Brianna, and a friend to the family referred to as an auntie arrive. The two kids are panicked about what they just experienced. At this point, officers know that the 14-year-old in the backseat of this vehicle was shot and that the driver was indeed rushing to the hospital. After securing the scene, multiple officers lift the 14-year-old up, each appearing to grab one limb each, and physically carry him about 50 yards over to Regions Hospital, a level 1 trauma center in St. Paul. The man driving the vehicle was soon discovered to be the boy's stepfather.
Hey, are any of you guys injured? No. You're okay? You're okay?
I was just trying to get him to the hospital.
Hey, you're okay?
Yes.
Are you injured?
Oh my God.
Abby, any spots to confirm code 4 crash scene?
In the back. Switch. Switch out. Which door are we going in? No.
With LTAC 1, you'll fill the dispatcher.
Officers soon questioned the other occupants of the vehicle and found the driver to be 35-year-old Keith Dawson, the stepfather of the 14-year-old shooting victim. He was traveling with his younger brother of 20 years, 15-year-old DeMarco, and a friend of DeMarco's, 15-year-old Michael. Simultaneously at Trish's house, officers questioned Davian and Brianna. They shared with officers that they were shot at after a physical dispute between Davian and another individual named Jaden Levon Townsend, 19, assisted by two other aggressors, Xavier Drew Hudson, 17, and Enrique Lucio Davila, 23. The story they told officers aligned with Keith's telling of the event that night, which we will cover in a moment. Officers then left Trish's home, likely due to the domestic dispute being resolved and questioning deemed complete. This leads us to the interrogation with Keith Dawson, who was just informed that his 14-year-old stepson, Damaris, did not survive his wounds.
I can hang out here with Keith, okay? If you guys just want to hang out in the hall, because Adam's got two right down the hall that he's going to be trying to have parents come and pick him up and stuff, okay?
Absolutely.
So when you get into St. Paul there and it sounds like they pitted your car, okay? Twist you around.
Yeah, I was trying to go slow. I didn't want he had turning me around. I'm trying to get to the hospital.
Yeah.
Hey man, they get so much shot. My son shot, man, shot. You know, that's why I'm gone. I ain't got time to be stopping, man. I'm going to the hospital.
Yeah.
That little second, any second could have saved, you know.
The autopsy performed at a later date detailed that the bullet traveled through a lung and parts of his heart.
I'm sorry, man. I'm so sorry.
I'm trying to save it. I'm trying. I went to Blueberry Hospital. It was closed.
I know.
Man, try.
I know.
Listen, parties already out there. Boat. Jets. Tubing, man. You need to go. We go. Graduation party, man. That's it, man.
That's a.
This is heartbreaking, very heartbreaking. So apparently it was a graduation party. It seemed that an altercation broke out. There was 17-year-olds, 19-year-olds hanging out with each other. I seemed like two set of different people who were friends had weapons. I don't even understand why the 14-year-old was there, but then I guess if it's a graduation party and it's in his house, that's probably why he was present. This is tragic. Rest in peace to that 14-year-old boy. Oh my God, there's nothing I can even say about this. And you can definitely tell that the stepfather is distraught. He's really distraught. And he's like, listen, I'm trying to save my son. He even saying he's not even calling him my stepson. He said, I'm trying to save my son. I'm trying to get my son to the hospital. What the hell y'all talking about? Y'all gonna catch me if you can. Catch me and arrest me at the hospital when I get him there. And then y'all can find everything out. Man, I wish this didn't happen to this little boy. Let's go on.
That Michael said.
What? You don't do it.
Oh, I know. I'm so sorry, Keith. Keith, before we start talking here, I don't know. I'm kind of coming in on the back end, and I've been talking to people and kind of have a good idea of what's going on here, okay? And I know that I understand the reason why you just kept on going to the hospital. Makes complete sense.
They stopped me, called me, told me to come, man. They robbing them and stuff, and brother and stuff.
Okay. Before we get into that, I know you're going through so much right now, but because I have you here, okay, I have to read your rights. I'm not saying you're going to jail, okay, but I have to read your rights because you're technically in custody, okay? So before we get into details, if you want to get into details, I got to do that, okay? You understand? Okay. Okay, Keith, right now you have the right to remain silent. Do you understand each of these rights I explained to you? Okay. Do you want to talk here today?
I'm going to get charged with anything?
I honestly, right now, I don't know. I'm going to shut the door here. You fled from police, and that makes complete sense to me, okay? So looking at this from where I'm at now, I can't say you're not getting charged.
Okay, so I know everybody looking in, this seems very unfair, and I totally agree with you guys, but I'm just going to let you, so at the end of the day, if they told him to stop, or they was saying it in the vehicle to stop and he didn't stop initially and he led them on a chase, and we all know why, right? We all know why. Even the police officers know why. It's up to the police officers if they want to drop the charges on him, basically not listening to the police officers and taking them on a speed chase. It's up to them. I wish, and I don't know, but I hope they do the right thing, because obviously he did it for a reason. He wasn't trying to run away from committing a crime. He was actually trying to save someone's life. I hope they do that, but it's really up to them, because technically he ran away from police officers and they gave him a actual direct order to stop, and he didn't stop. So if they want to charge him, they have the right to do that. And I know that sucks. And it really does suck, especially in this situation. But it really is up to them in their hands how they want to handle this going forward. But let's go on. I want to hear more details about this robbing and why was a robbing occurring at a graduation party, which is so weird to me, because everybody who's supposed to be coming to a graduation party, you're supposed to really know who they are, right? It's in a house. The house doesn't seem that big. It seems like they can hold maybe like 20, 25 people, in a living room or something like that. So I don't know, why was a robbery supposed to occur at a graduation party? We're going to find that out now.
I couldn't, given the circumstances, it's reasonable what you did, but I don't know. My plan is getting you home. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You want to talk?
Yeah, well, I guess a couple of weeks before that, I guess they was telling me that they was having some money and some guys or something, but I don't know.
Demarius was saying that?
Demarius and Davion or whatever.
Okay.
I guess something with his older brother, I don't know. Why they messing with my kids or something,
Yeah.
They don't be out on the streets or nothing like that. So he called me tonight, I just got out the shower. He called, man, they trying to rob my brother, take his car, and he got rims and stuff with 16-year-old. He got some rims on his car, nice car and stuff. And
So when Demarius called you, so he was at the party, he called you,
Yep.
He's having problems.
Yep, he called me. He said some guys at the thing trying to rob him right now.
He say any names or anything?
He no name. He said something about some WAP or something like that. I don't know what that is. I heard him say something about some WAP or something. I don't know what's that or whatever, but I heard him say something about WAP or something.
Okay.
Here, Keith mentions the aggressor, likely referring to Xavier, is part of the WAP. He probably means the Bad Side Mafia, aka WAP gang of the Twin Cities. According to the Pioneer Press, a criminal complaint surrounding Xavier's crimes as a juvenile indicated he was a known associate of the gang. His juvenile crimes included a robbery at gunpoint, where he shot at his victim as they attempted to flee in February of 2021. He was apparently given a conditional release from this crime on May 25, 2021, 11 days before Damaris's killing. Reports also indicate that, the day before the events in this video, Xavier had allegedly used a firearm to threaten other persons inside a restaurant. In an interrogation held at a later date with Xavier, the 17-year-old describes in his own way what the WAP is.
What's the WAP? W-O-P-P. What does that stand for?
WAP?
Yeah.
You got it all over t-shirts and stuff in your room and hats in the house and...
Yeah, on top. What did they say? I have no brain fart right now. But WAP and BSM are the same thing though.
BSM? What's BSM?
Bad Side Music. So I could be like on WAP, I could be like on the WAP, or I could be like on BSM.
So it's like the group that you rap with?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm coming trying to get there. By the time I got there, I pulled up and started shooting from both sides, you know what I'm saying?
So when you got there, you saw this, you heard the shots?
Yeah, when I got there, I pulled up, started shooting from both sides or something like that. And then I took off straight, just going straight, because I don't know where it's going. It's night, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what bullet's coming from or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? She come through that way and coming out, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, I'm just going, you know, so I get going fast, duck it down, trying not to hit nothing, and I'm like, there's a lot of people out there and everything. So as I'm going down that way, they must was coming behind me too. They, Demarius and them driving behind me. They shooting at them too. You know what I'm saying? So I guess when they shooting at them, by the time we got to the end, it's a roundabout, like a dead end thing. Now I don't know my.
Was it like a park?
Yes, a park down there. So I get right there. They get right there. I see them. I'm thinking this the dude and I'm finna start shooting, but that was David Demir. And they tell me, Demir shot, jump out. I grab him and put him in the Tahoe with me to try to hurry up and run him to the hospital. Me and DeMarco
and Michael.
Yep. We all jump in the car. Here. He shot. Where? I don't know. I'm picking him up. I don't see no blood on me. Nothing. Pick him up, throw him in the car. I'm flying.
This scene that Keith shares here is captured during a 911 call.
Starting date Saturday, June 5th, 2021, 22 hours 43 minutes 8 seconds.
911, what's the address of your emergency?
Come here. Hey! Oh, my cousin died. My cousin. He died. We in the bucket. My cousin, he just got shot. My cousin just got shot.
Your car is being... What is going on with your car?
Just got shot.
Your car got... What's going on?
We got to wait. Doors! Come on.
Hello, I need someone to tell me what's going on. Hello? Hello, I need someone to tell me what's going on.
Help me!
I need to know where you are.
I'm trying to help. Come on.
I need to know where you are.
No. Man. Come on. Y'all gotta put the GPS on. Come in.
Hello?
The caller suddenly hangs up. The moments after this lead to officers arriving on scene and beginning their pursuit. From the moment this 911 call was initiated to the moment officers transported the boy over to hospital staff, roughly 15 minutes surpassed.
Was he making any noises? Or?
I hurry up, threw him in the car.
You heard him kind of move, okay. And then your fiance, is she, do you know where she is right now?
She at Regis.
Okay. And what's your fiance's name? Trisha. I'm just gonna step out here. I'm gonna try and find my partner and see kind of where we're at and see what we can do about you, okay?
After this officer left the room, he found Keith and his party's telling of the situation contradicted other witness statements collected at the scene of the crime. Shortly after this discovery, the officer returns to question Keith again with this newfound information.
All right, Keith, this is my partner, Paul, here. Hi. Paul was at the scene, and he talked to some people to try to get the perspective of what happened there, okay? Our goal is to find out exactly what happened. And I think there's some inconsistencies they're telling me. We want to get to the bottom of this. We know there's a couple casings in your truck. What happened?
Pulled up. There's some guys out there, they started shooting, like I told you.
Okay.
They started shooting. Shoot on this side, shoot on that side.
So I was out talking to witnesses, as far as I can tell, that they don't have a dog in the game. They're telling me that there was a fight between a couple of the kids that were at this grad party, and that Davion was saying something similar to make some calls and I'm gonna keep this bitch up and blah 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 blah. And within 10 minutes or less, they see a white Tahoe come into the neighborhood. One person said it was kind of creeping, with the person looking all around, and then another person said that it was kind of driving and like quick stopping, like it was looking for somebody or looking for something. And I got people that were standing by a car across the street right next to it, and I got people standing at the foot of the driveway that see this car come in. They see a lone male driver in a light SUV, lean over.
So before I go on, make sure you're hitting this like button, right? And if you're just coming in to check in, hit the like button. You can hit the dislike button. It all helps the channel. But before he continues on with the story, I'm suspecting that he probably had accidentally shot his son. That's what I'm getting from it. I'm thinking that when they say that it was some of the things that he was saying, what might not be the actual truth, he probably left out that when he rolled up on the scene and he saw the fighting and stuff, he started shooting from the vehicle. And if it's dark out, you don't know where those bullets hit, right? Those bullets don't have specific names for anybody. It can hit anybody in the midst of the what's the name. And they might tell him, which will be something horrible that he's gonna have to deal with, that the bullet that hit your son came from your weapon. That's what I think that's what's gonna happen. But let's go
on. And start popping rounds. They see the flash coming on the inside of the car. They saw nobody else in this SUV, and that is the first shots being fired towards this other group. And then there's a slight pause, and then just a rally of bullets flying and everywhere, and everyone went scattering and running and hiding and ducking. How do you explain that?
Shit everywhere. Shots fired.
Did you fire back?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Fired.
I appreciate you being honest. Okay.
Did you fire first?
Yeah, fired.
You did?
Those shots started firing, man.
You heard shots and started firing, or did you?
Shots just started firing. Man.
Okay.
Did they start before you started, or did you start because there was some stuff told to you by people that were there that made you feel like you needed to react in a certain way to protect your family or to protect whatever?
I was trying to rob and take my stuff from my kids and stuff. And stuff kept going on or whatever, man.
Okay. So who fired first?
Fired first.
You did? How does that resolve the conflict between your kids and these kids? Or was it just anger? Or?
Anger, man. They keep.
Where's the gun?
I threw it.
Okay.
It's over there on Century.
Do you think it's on Century? So
Century in the parking lot.
Century in the park. What parking lot?
It's the parking lot over on Century by that SA over there, by that apartment building.
Okay. We need to try and figure out where this gun is so the little kid don't pick up this gun. Okay. I'm gonna pull my map out.
Keith continues to explain details of that night with apparent honesty. He shares where he started shooting, where he threw the gun out the window, and ultimately came clean about his actions. With Keith's confession, officers took him into custody with charges pending. They were also able to obtain the gun he had thrown out the window. Their next steps required putting warrants out for the other 3 aggressors involved, that being Jaden, Enrique, and Xavier. However, over a week had gone by, and the 3 were nowhere to be found. It was clear that several dozen bullets flew that night. Investigators found bullet holes all over the neighborhood, including in uninvolved vehicles, houses, and some with jaw-dropping trajectories. One bullet's path just above a pillow, where if a person had been laying, they likely would have died. It is astounding that no one else at the scene was hit or killed. Investigators, working alongside crime scene forensics, would have a firm understanding of the details that unfolded that night. Next, we will detail the story in full. That night, Damaris tagged along with his older brother Davian, Brianna, DeMarco, and Michael to Brianna's friend's graduation party. They had all carpooled in Brianna's silver Kia Forte. Minutes after arriving at the party, the group would be confronted by Jaden, who was accompanied by Xavier and Enrique. In court testimony, Davian, the victim's brother, notes he is immediately uncomfortable with how they acted. He described that Jaden appeared to want to fight, and interrogation later held with Xavier supported this.
Jaden said something like, hey bro, wasn't you like trying to get a gun to shoot at us and stuff like that? Then Davian like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Jaden's like, yeah bro, why ain't you just talk to me like a man or something? I feel disrespected, can we fight? Davian was like, nah bro, I'm not fighting you and shit.
Davian detailed that his little brother said he was ready to leave. Davian agreed before Jaden, Xavier, and Enrique blocked them. Davian testified that Enrique lifted up his shirt and revealed a gun in his waistband as he said, "Don't try anything." Enrique then tried to take whatever was in Davian's pockets. Davian in this moment recognized Xavier not just as a classmate from school, but also as a client. Davian had cut hair as a barber and had just cut Xavier's hair weeks prior to that night. His father, Keith, even mentions this during his interrogation.
My son, he cut hair. Davian cut hair. I guess these same little kids have been over at our house.
Davian noted in court testimony, "I kept telling Xavier, I said, get your friends. I said, I just cut your hair. I have nothing." Jaden then suddenly smacked Davian with an open hand. After that, Davian grabbed his little brother and gathered his group to leave. As he did so, Davian shares in court testimony, Xavier said, "I better see no windows come down or I'm flipping your car," implying he would shoot at them if they appeared to act in a drive-by shooting. During his interrogation, Xavier claimed to have no part in this particular situation, but that everyone was looking at him because of his status as a rapper.
I'm looking at everybody, and then everybody looking at me, right? Literally, the whole party knows me.
This is turning up really, really sad. Hi, Kaya. How you doing? Yeah. I don't have that much questions about this anymore. It's clear as day what happened. You had this group, this gang, right? And you had this other group that or connection, friends, whatever. They all go to the graduation party. They're feeling uncomfortable. Other one want to step up to them. The ones who have weapons are the ones who are acting big and bold. The other ones, they try to dip and they didn't want no beef happening at the graduation party. A scuffle happened. One of the boy, I guess the boy who actually lost his life was the one who called the dad and said, "Yo, they over here trying to rob us at the graduation party." And dad came through blazing. He came through blazing. He didn't care who he was hitting, right? And it's like, where was the guidance? Because none of that would have helped anyone, right? You could have hit so many other kids. You could have hit the mom, your fiance. They showed you the pictures. You shot so recklessly, right? And then mind you, I don't know, we'll find out if all those bullets that would happen to be in other neighbors' homes and cars came from his weapon. But you was shooting so recklessly in the night that you could have had took so many people's lives, even people who weren't even at the party or wasn't even a part of it. So it's like, you're the adult. You're the adult. You're supposed to go there and scoop up your kids, get them out of there, right? Because if they're going to fight and they're going to shoot it up, they're going to fight, they're going to shoot it up. That's how kids are today. If they have it in their mind, it's a wrap. So before that actually went down, go get your kids and get out of Dodge. But that's not what you did. You came for the war. You came for the war, and now when they go back and they test the bullets and stuff, they're going to see that you are the one who shot your own kid. How are you going to live with yourself? Like, how are you going to live with yourself after that? That maybe your kid, because we don't know, but maybe your kid could have still been here if you didn't do that. You're supposed to be the adult in the situation. What happened? What happened to your leadership, sir? What happened to the guidance? That's the leadership you're showing? Go in there, just start shooting in the middle of the night, and whoever get hits, oh well. They should have had touched me in minds, but guess what? You and yours was there. Your children, your fiance, they were there. They were there, and you shooting in the middle of the night. Where they're at. It just doesn't make any sense to me, really. It doesn't make any sense to me. And let's see. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate you. I just don't understand. Like, why would you even do that? Why? Let's go on.
Because I'm a rapper, you feel me? They all know me, you know, they listen to my music and stuff like that. They my fans or whatever like that. So I'm not a problem starter, but you feel me? I handle business. So they left.
After they get in the car, Davian's little brother, Damaris, calls his stepdad and Davian's biological father, Keith Dawson, and informs him of what happened. Davian explains that he took the phone from his younger stepbrother at this point and started talking to his father. Davian shared that Keith yelled at him in this moment and claimed that his father was scared. He shared his dad said to stop going places in public because there's so much drama in the world right now. Davian explained in court testimony that this was not the first incident between himself and Xavier, adding that his father likely did not know Jaden or Enrique.
They got their haircuts and everything because they go to school with each other. You know, I don't know them personally though.
Keith then drove his white white Chevy Tahoe and met the group in a car dealership parking lot. Here, Keith allegedly explained to the group that they needed to go back to the party so that the three harassers would stop messing with them. From here, most of the story is known. Keith drove by the party in his Tahoe while Davian trailed behind, driving the silver Kia, which housed all of his peers. Damaris sat in the middle back seat of the car. Next, Keith would shoot at the three aggressors while they were outside their Dodge Durango. Enrique would immediately start firing back, using the gun in his waistband. Xavier ran to the wheel well of his girlfriend's car, where he stashed his pistol, and laid down on the grass to return fire. Jaden, although the lead aggressor, did not fire a weapon. Over 40 bullets flew that night. Then Davian screamed for the passengers to duck as he tried to drive away from the scene. In this moment, Damaris exclaimed that he had been shot and that he couldn't breathe. When Davian turned around to look at him, he shared that Damaris's head slouched over and his brother looked lifeless. According to reports, this would be the only bullet that struck a person. Forensics shows that the bullet traveled through the back license plate of the silver Kia and through the back seat before hitting Damaris. He was pronounced dead at 11:12 that night. Davian swears in court that he and his peers did not know Keith had a gun in the car, nor that he was going to shoot at their aggressors. This is despite witness statements that night claiming he had threatened to get the place shot up. This led to Davian honking his horn to get his father's attention so he could pull over, where they transferred Damaris from the Kia to the Tahoe. We know where Keith, Damaris, DeMarco, and Michael went that night. Davian and Brianna went a different direction in their Kia. They attempted to drive back to his mom's house. In a witness statement, Brianna shares that they were chased by the Dodge Durango they believed to be driven by Jaden with Xavier and Enrique as passengers. Davian shares that he sped and ran red lights on the way. Trying to lose track of them, they take another route, leading them to his aunt's house. This account may or may not have been driven by fear or paranoia, however. Other police reports contradict that the three aggressors drove off in the Durango. Rather, Xavier, his girlfriend Alexis, Enrique, and others got in her red Honda Civic and were followed by Jaden in his Durango, where they stopped at a gas station and then went to Xavier's home. Because Xavier had a juvenile criminal history, officers were already familiar with him and his address and attempted to extract him from his home that night. Though officers were not able to find him, Xavier shared a surprising revelation about where he was that night.
So you were still kind of in the area when Oakdale PD showed up at your house?
Oh, I watched everything happen. I watched them surround my house 4 times.
Did you stay there all night and watch it?
Damn near. I heard them say my name.
Okay, that's probably with the big giant armor tank looking thing or whatever.
Yeah, there's 3 of them.
Brianna and Davian, believing they presumably lost their assailants, entered his aunt's home and informed her of the situation. From there, she drove them in her car to Davian's house and discovered police were already there questioning his mom, who had already been informed her other son was shot. That night, Davian and Brianna's story aligned with the first account Keith told. The following morning, the pair were questioned again and were informed that Keith told the whole truth, prompting them to do the same. The incident occurred on the night of June 5th, 2021. The report much of this information was extracted from was written on June 10th. The 3 initial harassers, Jaden, Xavier, and Enrique, were still at large at that time, their whereabouts unknown. In the days after the shooting, it was discovered that Xavier fled the state of Minnesota, traveling all the way to Florida. He was assisted by his mother, Susan Blood, and his girlfriend, Alexis Moore. On June 15th, 10 days after the shooting, the vehicle they were traveling in was discovered coming back through Wisconsin. It was apparent that Xavier changed his appearance by cutting his hair short. Officers followed them into Minnesota, where they shut down Interstate 94 and apprehended the 3 of them. After his apprehension, officers investigated the search histories of Xavier and Susan's phones. The findings alluded to fleeing and hiding. Within hours after the incident, Susan searched hotels near me. Other searches made on their way to Florida included, how do you get to Mexico? What do you need to cross the border? And, can police trace iPhone? On the way back into Minnesota, they were searching for flights that went from Minnesota to Texas, implying he may have continued to run if he was not apprehended. On June 16th, court documents indicate Jaden turned himself in. Finding Enrique would prove a difficult feat.
How tight are you with Enrique?
Not really.
Okay.
He won't listen to y'all.
Do you think who do you listen to?
Me. I mean, I'm top, literally top walk. I know it might seem a little stupid, but the name means a lot.
For months, officers asked the public for information of his whereabouts, sharing photos in this known video of Enrique, brandishing the gun he used in the shooting. He was eventually found hiding out with a family member, avoiding custody all the way until September 30th, 2021, nearly 3 months later. During interrogations, Xavier admitted to shooting 19 shots at the white Tahoe, a statement that forensics would find accurate.
I know how many times I shot.
How many?
I shot 19 times. The only controlled shots I had was them 5 shots.
So the first 5 were more controlled.
Yeah, the first.
And then you were going for like fire superiority kind of thing.
Right.
An amended criminal report notes that Xavier had a previous charge of delinquent felony possession of ammunition, pistol, or assault weapon by a person under the age of 18. This legally made him ineligible to possess a firearm. Investigations found that at least 21 bullets were shot from Enrique's gun. Around 4 shells were found in Keith's Tahoe. In his interrogation, Xavier freely gave his opinions on the whole situation.
I didn't have a problem with this little kid that passed away from me. I feel really bad, but his dad's gonna live with that shit.
Yeah, this is one of those circumstances where everything had to fall in order.
At the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I wouldn't have caused the problem.
Yeah.
I would have left it at what it was. They took it in their power to call their dad, meet with their dad, and come shoot at us. You fucked up, like that's your fucking fault. That's what's making me so non-caring about the situation. Ball was in their part, and they played it so foul. You know?
I agree.
And it ended up in a little boy's life being taken. That shit is tragic. He could have left it alone. He should have been the grown man he's supposed to be and left it alone. But
we started a gun battle in the middle of a residential neighborhood that left 1 kid dead, a bunch of houses shot up.
Just wish I would have stayed home. I didn't go there with any intention to hurt anybody. I didn't mean to hurt anybody. I protected myself and my loved ones. I protected my girlfriend. I protected damn near everybody at the party.
Yeah.
I'm like Superman. I'd have killed 4 more people for that's my life right there. That's my lifeline. Like I'll fuck around and kill myself if I ain't had her.
Alexis?
Yeah, like that's my real life soulmate. Like I wouldn't know what to do without her. Like I'd probably be fucking crying right now if it wasn't for real shit. I'd probably off myself, like dead ass serious. I need her in my life. Like people don't get that. You know, some people keep other people emotionally stable. She keep me emotionally stable. Whatever this time finna be, I could get through this knowing that she finna be there when I get out. I wish it, you know what I'm saying, it wouldn't have been him. I wish the dad would have died. I wish that boy that's in, that stepdad, whoever's in custody, I wish he would have passed away. That would have made me a little more, you feel me, comfortable. I'm not very uncomfortable right now just because of the whole situation. Like, it wasn't my fault. Because at the end of the day, bro, I talked to one of my lawyers already, and they was just telling me, I'm good. I'm not worried about being charged in no fucking second-degree murder. Like, come on now. Because real shit, like if I really...
Oh my God. They run their mouth too goddamn much. Excuse my language, but they really do. They run their mouth too much. But the simple fact is he has no remorse. And the simple fact that he's talking about, you know, it's the father's fault. It is what it is. I mean, obviously, he was the one who, it was his weapon who shot the little boy. But they're also going to take into consideration if the father didn't come in there shooting, then it had no reason he had no reason to shoot his gun. So he shot his gun as in retaliation or self-defense. That's how he's speaking about it, even though he's speaking so disgusting, no remorse. He don't care. I don't care about doing a bid. We do that. He even had the audacity to name who he would have wanted to actually pass. Like, that's just crazy. Like, it's insane how some of these young people are in their mindset, right? They just don't care about life, period. They don't care about anybody's lives, not even their own. Like, they don't even look at it as value. No value to life or anything. Let's go on. He just talked too much for me.
Really wanted to, y'all wouldn't have caught me. Like, dead serious. On my dead daughter, y'all wouldn't have caught me. I was away. But me just having the decency and understanding that things need to get in progress so things could come to the light and I could plead my fucking case on me not being a second-degree murder.
Today, 6 individuals were charged for crimes related to this case. 2 months after the incident, Xavier's mom, Susan, and his girlfriend, Alexis, were similarly charged for assisting Xavier in fleeing. While Alexis's past record is relatively clean, Susan has previous charges relating to forgery, identity theft, and property damage. For this case, they each faced 1 count of aiding an offender to avoid arrest, and 1 count aiding an offender as an accomplice after the fact. Days after their arrest, Alexis posted a $25,000 non-cash bond, and Susan posted a $30,000 non-cash bond. Susan took a plea deal and was convicted of aiding an offender to avoid arrest. Her other charge was dismissed. She was sentenced to prison for 1 year, but that was stayed. Instead, she will serve 4 years of supervised probation, which will end in February of 2026. Alexis also took a plea deal and was convicted of aiding an offender to avoid arrest. Her other charge was dismissed. She will serve 180 days in jail with the option of serving that time in home detention. She was also put on 4 years of supervised probation. Additionally, she has to pay a restitution of roughly $250 to the Minnesota Crime Victim Reimbursement Program. If all goes as planned, her probation will end in June of 2026. The stepfather, Keith, also faced numerous charges. This would not be Keith's first entanglement with the law, having faced numerous convictions in his past. These included charges related to a drive-by shooting, burglary, and possessing dangerous weapons as a prohibited person. He also has multiple charges related to theft of a motor vehicle and check forgery. His record starts back when he was 18 years old and shows roughly 10 years of prison sentences between 2004 and 2021. For this case, Keith was charged with 1 count of drive-by shooting, 1 count of possessing a firearm with a previously convicted crime of violence, and 2 counts of second-degree assault with a deadly weapon. After his arrest, he was given a $175,000 non-cash bail, which he posted 5 months later. He was subject to GPS monitoring, was banned from handling dangerous weapons, and was barred from contacting any victims or witnesses, except for the ones who lived in his home. Keith took a plea deal and was convicted of his drive-by shooting charge. All of his other charges were dismissed. In January of 2023, he was sentenced to 7 years in prison with 148 days of jail credit. Taking parole into consideration, he will likely not be out of prison until 2027. Jaden, the initial aggressor of the night according to witness statements, has no significant prior criminal history. After his arrest, the court offered a $500,000 conditional bail, but he would never take it. He faced 1 count of aiding and abetting second-degree murder without intent and 4 counts of aiding and abetting second-degree assault with a dangerous weapon. Jaden took a plea deal, which dismissed all charges save for 1 charge of aiding and abetting second-degree assault with a dangerous weapon. Over a year after the offense in June of 2022, he was sentenced to 3 years in prison with 371 days of credit for time served. He must pay restitution for a total of almost $25,000. Just over $8,700 is to be paid to 2 different claims of the Minnesota Crime Victim Reimbursement Program, and nearly an additional $16,000 is being paid to the victim's brother's girlfriend, Brianna, whose family submitted claims and victim impact statements regarding that night's toll on her life. Jaden has likely served his time at this point, but court records indicate he still owes nearly all $25,000 of restitution. Enrique proved to have a violent criminal history. He's been convicted of previous charges for assault, fleeing the police in relation to vehicle tampering, first-degree aggravated robbery, giving police a false name, and leaving the scene after causing an accident. For this case, he faced 1 count of aiding and abetting second-degree murder without intent and 4 counts of aiding and abetting second-degree assault with a dangerous weapon. Through investigations, it was found the bullet likely fired from Enrique's gun was the one that struck and killed 14-year-old Damaris. This was based off of analysis connecting the bullet to his firearm and DNA and video evidence linking the firearm to his possession over Xavier. He took a plea deal and pled guilty to 1 count of aiding and abetting second-degree murder without intent and 1 count of aiding and abetting second-degree assault with a dangerous weapon. His other 3 counts were dismissed. For 1 count of aiding and abetting second-degree murder, he was sentenced 20 years in prison with 946 days of credit. For second-degree aiding and abetting with a dangerous weapon, he was sentenced 3 years and 3 months, but this would run consecutively, making his total sentence 20 years. Needing to serve at least 2/3 of his sentence before being eligible for probation, he will likely be in prison until nearly 2038, when he will be 41 years old. He is also jointly responsible for the restitution applied to Xavier's case. Xavier, who was 17 at the time of the incident, held a juvenile record that reports say included robbery at gunpoint, along with alleged armed threatening and possible gang associations. The incident took place 2 months before his 18th birthday. This fact, along with the seriousness behind his current and past crimes, caused him to be tried as an adult. For this case, he originally faced charges of 1 count of aiding and abetting second-degree murder without intent, 4 counts of aiding and abetting second-degree assault with a dangerous weapon, and 1 count of possession of a dangerous weapon as an adjudicated delinquent. 5 months after his arrest, he paid a $750,000 bail using a bail bond. However, it appears the court reversed that decision months later, apprehending him once again. They would eventually offer a $5 million cash bond that would never be taken. Through court deliberations, Xavier faced increasing charges of second-degree assault. He originally pled not guilty to all charges. During court testimony, Jaden apparently made an unexpected appearance. He was able to do this as the trial took place in late 2023, while he was out on probation. Reports by Fox 9 indicated Jaden had to be escorted by security out of the courthouse. Court transcripts also share a disturbance that happened in the parking lot during the trial that prompted an increase in security which may or may not be related. In September of 2023, Xavier was found guilty on all 10 counts he was tried for, which included 1 count of aiding and abetting second-degree murder with an added statute of murder, 5 counts of aiding and abetting second-degree murder with a dangerous firearm with a prior violent criminal history, and 4 counts of second-degree assault with a dangerous weapon. He would ultimately be convicted to 1 count of aiding and abetting second-degree murder and 2 counts of second-degree assault with a dangerous weapon. His total sentence is 37 years and 3 months with 692 days of credit. He'll have to serve roughly 23 years and 8 months before being eligible for probation. Xavier will likely not be out of prison until nearly 2048, when he will be 44 years of age. He must also pay a total restitution amounting to just over $16,000, for which Enrique is jointly responsible. Just over $8,700 is to be paid to 2 different claims of the Minnesota Crime Victim Reimbursement Program, and just over an additional $7,000 is being paid to the victim's mother, Tricia. Currently, Xavier is going through the Court of Appeals in hopes to either reverse his verdict or reduce his sentence. That outcome is yet to be determined.
An undercover detective comes under the gun in a sting operation gone wrong.
Only on 11 Alive News, new details about
That was insane. That was insane. All those young lives ruined. All those young lives ruined for what? Absolutely nothing. Because not one adult decided to actually be adult and guide these young souls. That's what happened. A young boy lost his life because no one wanted to act like an adult. No one wanted to act like they had any common sense. None of them. And then it's like the moms, right? I understand, like, you know, that's your kid and everything like that, but you literally helping your kid and to literally flee the scene, and then you think that you wasn't gonna get no crime. Like, if you don't know if he's a murderer, but you know he's a suspect, you know he's a part of the incident, and you helping him get away, it's like, where was the leadership? I want to know, where was the leadership? Where was the being parents at? Because there was, from what I'm hearing, it was 3 adults, 3 actual adults, parents that was involved. And none of them acted like adults, and none of them acted like parents in this whole situation. There was no guidance or anything. And now, look, 2 of these guys, they're not getting out of jail until they 41, 44 years old. They spending their whole, pretty much a quarter of their life in prison. By the time they come out, they ain't gonna know anything about this. They don't know nothing about none of this. Everything is going to look different. Their home's going to look different. The school that they went to is going to look different. They're not going to recognize anything. And then that 14-year-old boy, he don't even get to enjoy life. He don't even get to go to his prom. He don't even get to graduate. All because no one actually wanted to be an adult. Especially the ones who's over the age that they should have been an adult, and they know better. Especially the father. A lot of the responsibility goes on to the father for me, definitely. Because if you didn't come out there just shooting, you know, this is not to say that shots were not going to get fired, but at least try. You know, at least try to make sure that shots are not fired. That didn't happen. You was ready to go to war. You was ready to go to war, and look what happened. That's a terrible case, a very, very terrible case. All right, so I have one more left for you guys, and then I'm going to let you good folks go because I'm going to have to start getting ready to go to work. So in this situation, there's this guy who pretty much we're going to see the step-by-step of how a detective breaks down a suspect to confess to what they actually did. And you'll understand more of the tactics that these detectives use when they are interrogating you in that particular room. You'll actually hear the breakdown and you'll understand these tactics going forward. So let's go on. All right, here we go.
At police headquarters, 44-year-old Eric Iringer is brought in for questioning regarding a murder. Earlier that morning, on May 19, 2012, Eric made a shocking discovery upon waking up. His 28-year-old girlfriend, Jennifer McKinley, was lying lifeless on the ground. She was dead, with bruises all over her body. Eric's mother, who had also witnessed the scene, immediately called 911.
Eastern Fire Medical, what is your location? Woodland Hills. What is your emergency? I think it's a murder. And have you started CPR, ma'am? No. Deep cold. I'm going to need child services, too. There's a little boy here. Okay. You need to get here as soon as you can.
When officers arrived at the residence, they noticed that the house was in disarray. It was documented that Jennifer likely died from strangulation. Law enforcement made sure that Ben McKinley, Jennifer's 8-year-old son, is safe and well. He was asked basic questions and commented only that he heard something in the early hours, but went back to sleep and didn't see anything. Since Eric was the last person to see Jennifer alive, he was taken to police headquarters for an interview. They are either expecting a valid alibi from Eric, which could wrap things up quickly, or a confusing line of arguments that would complicate things further.
Sorry, I had to move you. Sorry. The importance of our discussion today is to get as close to the truth as we can possibly get to. Okay?
I left work at like 7. There's a bar, like a little dive bar right on Greens and 59. That's my way home.
Okay.
So me and Buddy stopped, had a beer, had a couple beers, and somebody else bought. I played a couple games of pool. And I realized that, I'm not going to drive.
How many beers did you think you had?
I probably had 9.
Detectives concluded that the victim, Jennifer McKinley, had most likely died between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. Their efforts to determine what exactly happened before her death are hindered by the fact that Eric had gone out drinking that night and allegedly forgot.
So the biggest thing that stands out for me is that even with this situation, you obviously know that is no robbery, right? Because the police have not said that it was any force of entry. They didn't say that a lock was picked, right? Nothing had happened to the 8-year-old boy. He just went to sleep. He heard a noise earlier and he went right back to sleep. And then this woman was actually found by her boyfriend and the boyfriend's mom, right? So that's another reason why the police or the detectives is going to focus on the family first, who's the closest person to the victim at this time to start the investigating process. So let's go on. He's going to say that he went out, he had a couple of beers, he was plastered, right? And that he doesn't remember anything. But we all know in most situations, people know more than what they let on to believe, want people to believe that they don't know. So let's see this in action.
Most of what occurred. Although Eric was the first person to get interrogated, detectives also know of 2 other suspects in this murder investigation, one of whom had been in contact with Jennifer on the night she died.
So I called Jennifer, come and get me. She's like, okay.
You remember what time this was? Roughly. Before midnight, after midnight?
Oh, it was before midnight. I would probably say 9:30, 10 o'clock.
What is her attitude on the phone when you call her?
She's probably pissed.
Not happy.
Yeah.
When she does come and pick you up, does she have Ben with her?
No. When she came walking in, that's when I asked her, "You left Ben in the car?" She said, "I left him with a neighbor." I finished my beer and we left.
This moment is crucial in the interrogation and will set the tone for what the detectives will have to endure. Eric Iringer clearly remembers the timeline of events leading up to the bar, finishing his shift, driving there, having multiple drinks, and playing pool. However, from the moment his girlfriend picks him up, his memory goes blank. This will have the detective seriously.
And it's from that point why the detectives start to get very suspicious of him, right? Because you knew everything from hours prior, but then now once you are in connection with the victim, now all of a sudden it's a blaze. You don't remember anything. Like you have selective memory now. So that's just going to always raise a flag and on anybody who's looking at this particular case. So let's go on.
Wondering, is Eric trying to claim alcoholic amnesia?
I want you to close your eyes. And we're not hypnotizing or anything like that. But what we're going to try to do is I want you to go into compartments from the time that Jennifer shows up at the bar and you walk out of the bar, and I want you to envision this stuff. I want you to see yourself doing these things and then start to talk about what you're doing.
When I finished the beer, we walked out of the parking lot. There was pretty much no talking.
And you pulled into the apartment complex.
I don't remember getting into the apartment.
As someone whose girlfriend was pronounced dead just hours earlier, Eric doesn't display grief, but rather a somewhat cold composure. This in itself, however, isn't necessarily a sign that he's hiding something. Individuals who are faced with traumatic events often exhibit a delayed emotional processing. The realization that someone close has died can take several days to fully sink in. The detective is trained to distinguish between a psychological defense mechanism and someone who is a cold-blooded killer.
Okay, well, let's think back. This is the part that's very important here about opening up those compartments that you've closed off for whatever reason, because at that point, this is where it becomes critical. Think back at that point when you get inside the apartment. Does Jennifer bring back the discussion now about having to pick you up, having to leave benefit? Where does it go from there?
Even when I'm trying to even trace my steps, there's a blank there.
Think back. And again, there's no pressure here.
No, I know. And I said, I don't remember hitting the apartment, and I would have went right to bed. Do you want me to make up something?
No. I want you to tell the truth. I told you that's what my job is.
I'm telling you the truth. I'm trying to get there, but
I got you.
Accepting that Eric either genuinely forgot or is purposefully withholding information about what happened, the detective employs another strategy by asking personal questions about his family. This approach aims to encourage Eric to open up and identify possible motives that could imply him as the killer of his girlfriend.
He's like my...
So like I said, this one is going to actually show you the breakdown of tactics that detectives use to actually get more information out of a person, right? So now he's going to ask him about his family. He's going to ask him about the family dynamics. And then he's going to also ask him his dynamics in his relationship with the victim, right? That is going to lead more clues on whether or not would he have motive to do it. Did something else happen that night? Is that the reason why he's now acting like he has selective amnesia, or that he was too drunk that he doesn't know what happened after his girlfriend picked him up and she dropped the kid off? There was no argument, there was no discussion. And if you can clearly see that he's sitting up there, I don't know, I swear I don't know what you want me to tell you. And the detective is like, listen, just tell me the truth. Like, you have to know what happened. You have to understand that something happened, right? Did you fall asleep in the car? You didn't say that you fell asleep in the car. You didn't tell him that. But you're saying that you just completely blacked out. You don't even know if you even got in the house. So he's going to lead into asking him things about his dynamics, get him his family dynamics, get him a little bit more calm and open, and then he'll come and lead in with another question pertaining to what might have happened and see if he's going to slip up or eventually come clean. So this is one of the tactics, and then you're going to see another tactic that he's going to use when the actual suspect, you could tell that they're withholding information, but you need to put them in a situation where they feel like they're getting away with it and they're being believable. You'll see that tactic next, but let's go on with this one.
Best friend, so I can't.
Oh well,
you know,
hey man. Let me tell you what I've got.
weird.
I have a son, and I feel the same way. Well, let's talk about Jennifer.
Jennifer, I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago. She had just finalized her divorce, and we just kind of hit it off. Well, she had a little boy, and for both of us, it was just like a companionship thing. It was just the little things, you know. She would never put the top on, right? You know, the toilet paper, you know, whatever. Wouldn't squeeze the toothpaste from the bottom of, you know.
And when you all have these arguments that every couple has, I've been married for almost 30 years, and I can tell you there have been some wrangling.
I am quick to anger. With her, she liked to press. Just leave me alone. Leave me alone. Just leave me be. Leave me be. Leave me be. Stuff's been thrown.
Anything physical between you and her?
Yes.
What have you done?
I grabbed her and actually pushed her away. I'm trying to get away. You know, she'll jump in front of the door. Right? I just need to get some air. Let me out. I'll come back. No. Don't leave. Jump in front of the door. Jennifer, please, baby, get out of the way.
Compared to the beginning of the interrogation, Eric now appears much more open to talk, disclosing signs of a toxic relationship.
Exactly. So please just look at the picture. Look at him. When the first initial questions, he's looking down. He's not trying to look him in his eye, because if he looks him in his eye, then he might see that he's lying. So he's doing everything to just like, you know, oh, this is what happened. I don't know anything else. But now he has opened up. Well, I would say he has opened up more. He has put down his walls, and now he's starting to talk about his aggressions with being with his girlfriend, right? Now he's explaining that there has been arguments, which is not uncommon. You know, people in relationships have arguments, but now he's also getting into more detail that some of these arguments was physical. That helps with understanding what could possibly happen, and it also gives him motive. Right? So let's go on.
With Jennifer, the detective acknowledges that arguments might be common in relationships, but he is aware of a much darker side of Eric. Law enforcement evaluated phone records and uncovered text messages between Jennifer and a neighbor by the name of Mike. Jennifer frequently messaged Mike, expressing that her relationship with Eric was abusive and exhausting, with the last message sent just hours before her death. Ironically, this very neighbor became a suspect in the murder investigation after someone in the apartment complex raised concerns that he might be involved in the murder. Messages alluded that he wanted a more intimate relationship with Jennifer, stating that Eric doesn't deserve her. Jennifer, however, did not reciprocate romantic feelings for Mike. The neighbor was later cleared as a suspect, leaving only Eric and an unidentified person as the main suspects.
From the time that Jennifer shows up at the bar and you walk out of the bar, and I want you to see yourself doing these things and then start to talk about what you're doing.
She comes into the bar. She keeps bugging me to go.
And you're telling her what?
I'm telling her, let me finish these beers. I'm trying to slam down. She keeps pulling.
You're on the way home, driving, and they pulled into the apartment complex.
I would have went right to go into the bedroom and pass out, basically with my clothes on and everything.
It's like a big puzzle here. We've got the framework of this puzzle. We know that you were at the bar. We know that you called Jennifer. We know that she picked you up. You're intoxicated, and you get to the apartment, and now here's where it becomes critical. Because once you and Jennifer cross the threshold of that apartment, then something starts to be placed in motion.
I don't remember.
The defense of alcoholic amnesia is commonly thought of a way to bypass the legal system. While there might be cases where intoxication was used as a mitigating factor to reduce the severity of the charges, the chances of such a defense being successful are generally extremely low. Eric Iringer recounts the timeline of events clearly. However, once they entered the apartment, he remembers absolutely nothing. What makes this explanation particularly bizarre is that when police officers arrived at the house of the couple following the 911 call, Eric Iringer locked himself in the bathroom, armed with a sword, threatening officers that he would hurt himself. It is obvious.
So again, if he doesn't know what's going on, he doesn't have no clue, he doesn't remember because he got temporary amnesia for drinking himself under the table, then why was you so fearful that you locked yourself in the bathroom with a sword and you was threatening to unalive yourself if the police got anywhere near? That is a sign of guilt, right? That shows a sign of guilt, and it also shows a sign of you not wanting to have to deal with the repercussions or the consequences that's coming your way for whatever you did. So now with that type of information, this is the reason why the detective is going at him the way that he's actually going at him, trying to pick holes in him, get him to give more information, more detail about what happened. Did an argument happen? It's funny how it's like later on into the interrogation, he now explains what actually happened at the bar. So if at the bar she was upset that the simple fact you called her because you was drunk and you was drinking too much, and she was upset about that, and when she got there you didn't even want to leave, and she pretty much had to force you to come and leave home. That is the starting point of whatever happened and transpired at the apartment. Y'all already wasn't seeing eye to eye. Y'all already wasn't on good terms. You was annoyed with her, she was annoyed with you. So let's go on.
Obvious that Eric perfectly remembers that something happened, and with everything pointing back to him, the detective's primary goal is to get a confession.
Either something accumulated and let the evil override the good, but it had to start with something that Jennifer said or did. Either told you, get the hell out of this apartment, don't want you here anymore, but something that you were not going to put up with anymore because you were drunk. It drops inhibitions. This alcoholic amnesia or this selective I don't remember stuff, I'm just telling you, man, it is not going to look sincere.
Well, and then I guess I'm just I don't know what else to say because I literally do not remember.
You have been a part of this woman's life. You guys have had your ups and downs like everybody else has, but something broke. And it broke to the point where, and a person who never would ever think of doing something like this to the woman he loved snapped and did it. You killed her. When you got up that morning and you looked down, I guarantee you the first thing that went through your head was, holy.
So I want y'all to see his facial expression and his body movements when the detective said that you killed her. As soon as he said that you killed her, what he do? He put his head down. That is an act of shame. He's shameful. That's why he put his head down like that, right? And then he keeps on going like this against his forehead because he's feeling shameful. He's still trying to keep his composure, but he knows that something happened. He knows that he's involved with something, and he's still trying to keep this lie that he doesn't know what's going on. He was so drunk. Once he got in the house, he didn't even know that he got in the house. He's blacked out this whole entire time. He do know. And that was another reason why, even when he woke up in the morning, why he was hiding in the bathroom by the time the police was called. But by the time his mother called the police, he was in the bathroom with talking about he was going to kill himself. All of those actions are shame. when you do that. That's shame. That's shame. That's shame. Shame. We see that same type of body movement with animals. Think about your dog. When your dog knows that he did something wrong, or you're screaming at him and you like, look what you did. What do the dog do? The dog don't look at you. The dog start looking everywhere else. Look up in the sky. I don't know what you're talking about, but you upset with me. I don't know. Those are the same type of mannerisms of someone who is shameful for what they have done. So now we're going to listen into a little bit more. The detective is going to lead into an ego up tactic. This is one of the tactics that the detectives use. It's called an ego up. And that means is when you start saying great things of admirations and accolades to the suspect to make them feel good about themselves. Listen, you're a great guy. We all make mistakes. And this could have happened to anyone. That's when you start feeding into the ego, and that makes them even more comfortable and make them feel, hey, you know what? You're right. I am a good guy. I would have had never did this if it wasn't for this. Is to give more information or to lead to an actual confession. And they really want a confession from this guy to seal the deal. Okay. So we'll look in a little bit more.
Did I really do that? Because you do remember what happened, and you remember what set it off. You saw her, she's blue, she's cold, she's dead. And she is dead at your hand. And I will guarantee you the first thought you had is holy, I did that.
Yeah, you're right. I killed her.
In a sudden turn of events, Eric admits to killing his girlfriend. Without this confession, prosecutors would be dealing with a circumstantial case. It is now in the detective's best interest to determine a motive for the murder.
It's part of my responsibility to go back and try to explain to those people.
I understand.
The unanswered question. And what do you think that is?
Why? I would like to know myself.
It's coming across to me as being deception. It's not being a lack of memory. It's for whatever reason, and I'm trying to get in your head to figure out, you've already admittedly said you killed her.
I am being totally truthful with you. I do not remember. I don't remember her interacting with me. Somehow I gave myself a pie, and I don't know how to change it to sugar.
During the court trial, Eric Iringer pleaded guilty to charges of murder. He never commented on a reason for killing his girlfriend and maintained that he doesn't remember exactly what happened. Detectives concluded that in the early hours of May 19, 2012, Eric and Jennifer McKinley had an argument over cheating allegations, which ended with Eric strangling her to death. Ben McKinley, Jennifer's 8-year-old son, slept in a nearby room and was woken by a noise between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. He went to the living room but saw nothing and went back to sleep. It is estimated that Jennifer had already died by that time. Around 6 a.m., Eric made breakfast for Ben. Hours later, he called his mother saying that he, quote, killed his girlfriend and would commit suicide. Eric Iringer was sentenced to 40 years in the Texas Department of Corrections on charges of murder. Ben McKinley was placed with the biological father. In August 1985, 27 years before Jennifer McKinley was murdered, Tammy Wright, a single mother, moved to Houston to escape an abusive boyfriend. One morning, police discovered 3 bodies in an apartment. All had been shot to death. Jennifer McKinley, then a 2-year-old toddler, was the only one unharmed. She had just lost her mother. Detectives suspected that the same perpetrator might be involved in Jennifer's murder. However, DNA evidence did not lead to any individuals, and with Eric Iringer confessing to Jennifer's murder, the case of Tammy Wright remains unsolved. Charlie and Norma Wright, Jennifer's grandparents, couldn't help but recognize the eerily similar circumstances in which they lost their daughter and granddaughter. Jennifer McKinley's life tragically began and ended with violence. She was buried next to her mother, Tammy, in Alabama.
That was so sad. That was really sad because he really tried to play the route that he didn't know was going on. You got in an argument with this woman because you found out the text messages of the guy or the neighbor trying to, get with her. And you already explained to the detective earlier that you didn't like the arguing and that y'all had physical altercations before. And you flipped your leg. You flipped your leg. You went too far. Then you took your drunk butt to bed, woke up, and you thought that she was going to be okay, like it was like some regular physical altercation that you have, and you realized that you actually strangled her to death. And you called your mother to say, oh my god, I did something, mom, please come over here, hurry up, and come over here, hurry up. And I'm surprised that they didn't say anything about the mom, really. You know what I'm saying? I guess because she necessarily didn't do anything, and she did the right thing. By the time she came over there, she called the police when she actually saw the body. But you called your mother to help you get out of the fact that you actually killed your girl, and then you sit up there, you take a sword into the bathroom and and say, don't come any closer, I'm about to commit suicide. That you was guilty all along. You knew that you did it. You knew that you did it. You knew you woke up and you realize what you have done. And the reason why alcohol or claiming temporary alcohol usually doesn't cut it, because guess what? A what is it? What's the saying? A sober mind tells no lies, meaning that a drunk person is telling the truth. So the way how you feel when you drunk, when you showing aggression or anger towards somebody, that's exactly how you feel about that person. So a lot of the times the things that you do when you're drunk is because those are the things that you needed to do. You wanted to do. You just needed the liquid, the liquid courage to help you to do it, to actually go all the way through it. And this is why it usually doesn't cut it in these type of cases, right? It'll be something different if you was on like medication or something like that has the side effects of hallucinations and stuff like that. Then maybe that will work, but definitely not no alcohol. Definitely not no alcohol. No, that speaks a truthful mind. That speaks the truth of what you have, how you wanted to really act and conduct yourself against that person. And I just feel that this whole thing is a horrible situation too, because this young girl, her mother died many years ago. Her mother died the same way, and they haven't even found her murderer. Her murder is still a cold case. They still haven't found who strangled her, and it's such a fate for that family for her to pass the same way as her mother. That's just horrible, man. That really just hurts my heart. Like that's terrible. That's oof. That is some terrible joint right there. Really, it is. Really, really is. Hey, Lana, how you doing? Hope everything's well. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for rocking out with me. These were some real, like serious cases. A lot of them hurt me, especially the last two. The last two really got to me, because I just felt that, all of that was unnecessary. These people should still be with us in both cases, and it really, really did. It really, really did hurt my feelings on that one. But I do appreciate you guys for rocking out with me as long as you have. Please hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. Share to a friend who's interested in these cases. I will try to come back tomorrow with more cases for you guys that we can go over with each other. But until then, I hope you enjoy the rest of your night. Please be safe, be vigilant, stay alert. It's 2025, and prepare for great things going forward, truthfully, right? But until next time, I will see you later. Bye-bye. Have a good night.